I'm glad to be here again. TSL Mondays at Johnny Rockets. And you know what? I'm going to start the show by telling you guys what someone asked me when they saw a post that we're going again to talk football. They're like, how are you doing this shit? And I'm like, he said, don't you have work? Don't you have this thing? You should go to yesterday. How are you doing this shit? And I'm like, have you seen the people around me? Have you seen their passion for the game? And it's absolutely unreal, the intense passion that people in the TSL community have, and that is the only thing that's pushing them. So I must give a big shout out to each and every one of you. Every time you guys pull out for anything we do, the moment I would always treasure. Talking about treasure. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Had a fantastic weekend this weekend, and everything was also awesome. Good.
Great. I mean, we've seen you on the basketball team, we've seen you on the Formula One team. Is this you showing your diversity?
Oh, well, I'm a sport enthusiast.
No, you definitely, you're a better man than me. I'm going to tell you. You actually define what a sport enthusiast should be, because it's not only about football, it's not only about, if you're able to ground yourself. I've seen you have conversations on Formula One, basketball, athletics, and you've not looked lost, man. I caught up.
Thank you very much, sir.
Big man, Ikenne too. It was away last week, but it's back with us. What's good, man?
I'm good.
What have you been up to? That's like 1 week, you didn't say.
It's work. I got tired of last week. Luckily I can escape today. And like I always, I like being here. I mean, it's even better this weekend because I know I'm not going to answer any Nana question.
That's because you did well.
Yeah, decent performance.
Is there anybody that wants to say anything about Nana? Anybody? Okay, nobody. Alright, that's cool. But yeah, before we get into it, we must give a big shout out to our sponsors, Johnny Rockets and Access Bank. They're the ones that keep this going for us. Before nothing, let's quickly talk about the Sporting Lagos trip, because that was something that I don't think a particular club in Nigeria has been able to organize properly the way it was, because that experience gave an angle or a perspective to what's to be or what's to come. Because even Sporting Lagos fans were louder than Remo fans in their own home.
Well, I think we lived up to the tag yesterday. Coming to the Premier League from the Super League competition, they already tagged Sporting Lagos, the noisy Lagosians and all of that. And that was exactly what we did yesterday, regardless of the results. From the first minute to the 90th minute, we managed to keep it running. I mean, it was beautiful to watch at every single point in time. Let's talk about how uncomfortable we made the home team for yesterday. It was so bad that when they went in front, it's not enough to celebrate. They're telling Sporting Lagos fans to keep quiet. And Sporting Lagos fans that were very stubborn. We made our noise 90 minutes. In fact, I can categorically tell you that throughout the extended break, because of the rain that's in between the first half and second half, we entertained the crowd, noise, chants. It was beautiful. I was inside the rain. It did not deter anybody. I think it was a good smooth trip go, smooth trip come. And I also think they did very well. They were very competitive, and it was the least that the fans deserved after making the trip. So it's back at home against Nigeria Tornadoes over the weekend. And we hope to get a better result this time around.
There was a talk last week. You weren't part of that talk, and I think he highlighted Coach Paul he started asking questions about Coach Paul. Let's put it that way. Do you have any issues with Coach Paul? Do you think do you think his level was bringing Sporting Lagos from the NNL to the NPFL, and that's it?
No, I don't think so. Right? I think maybe by virtue of what I do,
okay,
I understand that whenever you want to take a decision, you must weigh pros and cons, and you take the one that, like, if the pros outweigh the cons, then you go for it. If the cons outweigh the pros, you let it go, right? I feel like it's being cautious. And there's a reason why, right? You know that you're a new team, you're a 2-year-old team. You just don't come up against 19, 20-year-old teams and want to go neck to neck against them, right? I know last season during the NNL, because I saw a few games during the NNL, some games they went back 4, some games they went back 5, probably against opposition that the class stronger, but majority of the games this season have been back 5. Yeah. It's probably because he wants to use a solid defense a solid backline, like a proper foundation to build going forward over the season. Yeah, sometimes whenever Sporting are on the attack, they look like a man shot up front, but it's for. I like to believe that he knows what he's doing. Sporting Lagos are very hard to break down. They find it's like it's easy for them to play against proper teams because they defend in numbers and all of that. So if you can stay in the game for as long as possible, you can always snatch 3 points. I don't think Sporting Lagos can win the league. I don't think Sporting Lagos will make it continental sports. It's your first season, right? Your number one objective should be to stay in the league. Do you understand? So if he's doing everything possible to stay in the league and he succeeds, then from there next season's objective will change.
Push from that.
Do you understand? You push from there. So it's I followed Remo in 2015, 2016 when they came up for the first time. They went back down. Do you understand? So it's a lesson for everybody. You have to plant your feet firmly on the ground. So I don't think he's playing bad. I think every game I've watched, I've been impressed by the way the team has played. Right? Results is another thing entirely.
Yeah.
But over the course of 38 games, I think they have it enough to win the Premier League next season.
Wow, that's a big prediction. I guess we'll see. So let me hold on you. Treasure. The Formula One race happened yesterday. You were giving us updates. I was like, who is this guy? How are you able to handle this, juggle all sports together? There was something as regards disqualification for Leclerc and Hamilton,
Yes.
if I'm right. And so just give us a quick recap of that. And I'm sure there's somebody in the audience that would give a feedback to it.
Okay, so let me first start off with the race itself. The race was one of the most thrilling races we've actually had in a while. It was actually a lot action-packed, and that was because for the first time in a long while, we actually had like a 3-leg horse race where we see Hamilton, Norris, and Verstappen actually going neck to neck, and it all boiled down to strategies, how well like the drivers were, and things like that. And at a particular point, you could not really tell who was actually going to win the race because at some point it looked like, oh, Norris, at some point it looked like, oh, Hamilton, and at some point it looked like Verstappen. I know, but at the end of the day, Verstappen came out on top from 6th position on the grid to win that race, and he was battling with a faulty brake, that the brake was actually failing, and then we actually saw Hamilton like gaining grounds on him and all. And that now brings me towards Hamilton. And
so before you go into Hamilton, sorry, I just want to ask, how do Formula One drivers, how do they maintain that desire to win races after somebody has been crowned winner of the whole Formula One season?
It's the same way how if someone wins the league with 5 games to go, everybody still plays.
everybody still plays.
No, you play on, but don't you start playing your younger guys? You bring in
Some
Darren
people
Gibson,
can have
you
second,
bring in-
third. I don't think it's turned on the grid. It's turned on the racing.
Drivers' Championship.
Now,
What-
so
what-
it can
what-
second.
what is still the motivation to make it a hot race as it was?
Second is better.
So first off, the second position is actually up for grabs in the sense that in the drivers' championship, in the sense that you have Perez, who as of yesterday before the disqualification was just about 18-19 points ahead of Hamilton, with about 4-5 races left to go. So anything could still happen. That's one. Number two, another huge driving factor is for whichever position that the constructor actually finishes on the Constructors' Championship determines the amount of money that they're actually going to get. So for the constructors, there's still a lot of race to go because at the end of the day, they all want to finish as high as possible. Yes, Red Bull has won it. Yes, Red Bull has carried it. But for the remaining of them, they want to finish as high as possible so that they can get a bigger slice of the pie. And then the third thing I think is just down to winning mentality. Max is just Max. That's the best way to put it. And it's pretty fun watching him sometimes. Like you can see that even when he has basically won like the drivers' championship, they won the constructors' championships. For them, Red Bull is about perfection. For them, it is not, oh, we won it and then we can now go and sit back. They're already considering next season, probably testing a few things and seeing how this season ends. Looking at the other driver as well, Perez, knowing that the other guys constructors are closing the gap gradually and already making plans for next year. So there's really no time for them to just sleep because the other teams too are not sleeping. So I believe that is why it was still so action-packed.
So you, what's the biggest one up for grab at the moment? Is it coming second as a constructor? Where is the biggest? Where is the tightest? So as a someone wants to love Formula One, what should I look out for now if I'm watching racing?
Oh, you should look out for the Hamilton versus Perez battle, because I still think that there's a lot.
Is that for a second and third?
For second and third in the Drivers' Championship. I still think that is something that you should look out for. And already we are seeing like Mercedes brings in a new floor, right? And that was part of the reason that they actually got the disqualification. So it's a new floor that they bring in, and now how the floor works is that it helps with what they call G-force. Right, it increases, like, it's all about aerodynamics, more or less. Not to go into so much details, but it's all about aerodynamics. And with the G-force, like, if you have more G-force, right, you'll have a better performance on a particular car than all the others. And so there's actually a limit to which the floor of the car can be unknown. And so they basically did a random check. So the FIA does these checks from time to time after a race, where they pick a sample of cars just to do a random check on them and everything. And there's something called the skid bow, basically. And then what that is there's an amount of wear and tear that should be on that component. Once it passes the agreed this millimeters, right, then you would actually have a problem. And that was actually what happened for both Hamilton and Leclerc. But in the case of Mercedes and in the case of Hamilton, it wasn't like they were trying to cheat on anything. On any other track, minus that track that they raced on yesterday, like Spain, for example, they would have been very fine. But that track is also known for having, like, being really bumpy and things like that. And it was a weekend that they also had the sprint race. So when you put all those things together and you look at it, you could just say, well, it was just oversight. Not like as if Mercedes was actually trying to get an unfair advantage to the other racer and the other drivers. Yeah.
All right, brilliantly said, Theo. And so from you, let me now take it to someone who is joining us for the very first time. And it's my namesake, actually. It's God Emmanuel. Emmanuel, so what do you have to say as regards what Theo has said, as regards the disqualification for Leclerc and Hamilton in that race?
Well, unfortunately, it was more of a team failure. So what happens is there's this thing called the skid block that all teams have, and it's about roughly 10 millimeters. Yeah, 10 millimeters, give or take. So what happens is it's there as a measure of safety, and if you go below a certain tolerance, regardless of how small the tolerance is, they're disqualified. So unfortunately for both Charles and Lewis, because of the adjustments or because of their car setup, it cost them their positions. Now, a lot of things can contribute to this, because this weekend was the sprint weekend, and according to them, track in itself was very bumpy. Like I said, the sprint weekend was part of it as well, so they had limited time to set up their cars and account for this bumpiness. Now, I'm not sure about Ferrari's major excuse, but in terms of Mercedes, for example, now they brought a new floor upgrade. They had to test it against next year, so they had to go all in to make sure that this thing actually works, because it's their foundations for next year. So you could give them that benefit of the doubt, but unfortunately for them, the FIA did say that the onus is on the teams to make sure that no matter what happens, it is your responsibility to make sure that your car is in line with the regulations. So that's what caused them the disqualification.
Brilliantly said, Theo. What's your take? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, fully agree. Fully agree.
In fact, that's why, is this straight to you, this conversation?
No, it's not straight.
Did you follow this? Did you follow what
So
happened?
I didn't follow the race yesterday, but I saw that Hamilton and Leclerc were disqualified, and I saw that it's because Mercedes were trying out a new floor for next season. You know, like you said, this season's over, right? So you have to get, like, in as much as you cannot achieve much this season, it's just maybe second versus third. You're a winner inside, so you want to put in your best in this season. You also have to be ready for next season. You know, when you like in football, it says some people play their young players. It's not just any young players, it's the young players you think will play next season. Do you understand? So it's mix and match.
Yeah. Makes sense, makes sense. But let's move from a race that I'm not so familiar with to a race I know. Let's talk about the race in La Liga at the moment. Bro, what's Girona up to? You know, I'm going to ask both of you a question now, and it's out of the blue. I'll make it out of the blue. Which of these two factors or two things currently happening do you think is a fluke and is going to end soon? One, Girona's current run in La Liga, or Serhou Guirassy's goal scoring form?
Unfortunately, Nico has decided that Guirassy is injured. He went off injured in the first half.
I mean, if he doesn't play again, we can say you're still at a good season.
No,
But I'm
definitely.
saying if he comes back, do you think
Okay,
he's going to come?
so I think Girona's form will be sustained for a period of time, right? And it's for a number of reasons. Now, you know, they are under the group of companies that own City as well.
Yeah.
Right, so it's proper planning, right? In as much as they don't have the money that City has, right? They have like footballing minds all around. I saw that team at the beginning of the season, and two names struck me. I can't remember the second person, but one of their centre backs is Eric Garcia. Now, if you know Eric Garcia, you know that for a period of time, it was
City, Barca.
Barcelona, Spanish national team, and all of that. And it's very young. Now, he's not necessarily the best defender, but what he does for them is, if you want to play technical football and all of that, 2023 football, when you want your defenders to do certain things, because of the experience at City and Barcelona, they can play in a certain way. They went 2-0 down on Saturday and they won 5-2. Right? Yeah,
See, it was the hunger at which we came back.
yeah,
I was
you
really
can play ball.
impressed.
If you believe that you can play ball, regardless of how bad you're doing, you know that you still have it in you. I think it was 3 goals in 9 minutes or thereabout. So it's
That was a team that showed that now these 2 goals were a mistake.
do you understand? So I think it's very, very sustainable, and it's not necessarily like, if you look at their squad, you recognize the few players, you recognize the feelings that are there. But the reason why I said I think it's sustainable is because it's the same footballing minds that are running City and all of that. So in as much as they don't have that much stake, you know, City is like the big cake.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not going to pay that much attention to Girona, but I feel like if you're going to invest in the Spanish league, you might as well make the most of it, even if you're not going to get to Champions League, because at the end of the quality will show. There's Real Madrid, there's Barcelona, there's Atletico. You still have to think about maybe Villarreal, maybe Sevilla, all those other teams that keep competing this season. Right? But if they can get an European slot, I think they've done very well this season.
Brilliantly said. Treasure, how about you? He has picked one. Are you going with him?
I would like to go against him because I do think, like, yes, we tend to have these fairy tale teams from time to time that it seems like these guys are doing extremely well and everything.
Like Arsenal.
But I would like to see how they run, like, towards, especially towards, like, mid-season and everything, because beginning of season, what we tend to see is that sometimes, like, you have this particular team that is seemingly doing so well, and then they're getting all the wins, they're getting like the players getting what they're meant to do at that particular point in time. But what is the litmus test for me is as the season runs out, probably as they accumulate maybe injuries, fatigue starts to build in, and things like that, you will now want to see what is like the true character of this particular team. And it points me back to, sorry to say, Arsenal again last season. What it took was for Saliba,
Sorry for the laugh.
their core defenders to literally just go out, and then from there we literally saw them like skid down and everything. And so that's the same way I'm looking at Girona right now, and I'm thinking in my mind, like, can they actually sustain this? Let's see it as the season goes on.
Let's see how the season goes. So Serhou Guirassy for Treasure and Girona for
Yeah.